Hi guys, we're back with another book today.
What is it called?
Rosie Revere Engineer.
Good job, bunny. This is a New York Times bestseller from the creators of Iggy Peck Architect by Andrea Beatty and illustrated by David Roberts. Let's get reading.
Look at his pants, it's ripped.
They're also really ballooned. I don't know if they're ripped or not. All right, let's give it a go. Excuse me. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. I think that's her. Right there, because she looks shy. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. Yeah, she's doing some interesting things in that little area.
Bro, that toy and that toy are fine. Why do you have to stab something through it?
I don't know. Look, that's from where the wild things are.
Yeah. And look at that dog.
Yeah.
And that elephant and those elephants and this bird.
This is quite a page.
I want all this.
When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts. A hot dog dispenser and helium pants. Dang it! Sometimes words like the word aunt or aunt, I assumed they wanted me to pronounce it aunt. But then when I read this next line, I can tell they wanted me to pronounce it aunt. And made fine inventions for uncles and aunts. A hot dog dispenser and helium pants. See? They're not ripped. They're blown up like a balloon. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. That's a cool snake. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Frank hooted. Oh, truly I do. But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf and after that day kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The one thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. Come on, little pages. Stop sticking together. That night, as Rosie laid wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The Helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze from a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer. She turned round to leave, but the then great Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next. Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. I failed, said dear Rosie. It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed. Yes, said Great Aunt, but crash, that is true, but first it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. In 1784, Elizabeth Thibble became the first woman to fly a hot air balloon. The hot air balloon was called La Gustave, a Blériot monoplane similar to the one flown by Harriet Quimby, the first woman to gain a pilot's license in the United States in 1911. E. Lillian Todd was the first woman to design airplanes in 1906. A plane named Friendship, flown by Amelia Earhart to traverse the Atlantic Ocean in 1928, and the Lockheed Vega 5B, used by Amelia Earhart to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean in 1932.
I want Earhart for my middle name.
Yeah? You like that? Lynn Ripplemeyer was the first woman to pilot a Boeing 747 in 1980. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed, and Aunt Rosie tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere.
Why does he have that thing on his head?
That's part of his religion.
What the heck is an engineer?
Yeah, that's odd. Well, that was a good book about not giving up, right? That seems to be a theme lately. Rosie learned that through failure, you can get better and better at what your dream is to accomplish.
Failure is giving up.
Yes, quitting is real failure.
Oh, these 3 things are so cute.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope everybody enjoyed this book.
Like and subscribe.
We've read other books by the same artist. I mean, artist and illustrator. Writer and illustrator. Somebody's tired. Have a good one.
And it's not me.